everyone, welcome to Watch It Paint It. Today I'm painting the second model in that Princess Bride set of miniatures that I got in the model box in February. I'll put a link in the description below in case you want to buy these and to the site where you can get them from. This is also for the competition this month in model box, so hopefully you can copy along and beat me in that. I also noticed, well, I didn't notice, I was streaming the other night and subscriber Shelley pointed out that's actually a Princess Bride role-playing game on Kickstarter right now. It's only up for a couple of days, so I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go and check that out. I personally have never played a role-playing game before in my life, and I think if I'm ever going to start, it has to be with something that's really nostalgic to me. Something like this. I'm going to get a copy. I'm going to start playing this. What do you guys think to RPGs? Leave that in the comments below. Let me know. This will be the first time I've ever played it. Am I missing out, or is it something that I'm not going to enjoy? Let me know below. So let's start painting Inigo. And you killed my father, prepare to die. Get that out there, just got to get that done. So that was Parasite Brown on his boots straight away. This guy's going to be done in a lot of leather, a lot of browns, that sort of colour. So it's Beasty Brown next, and that's going to be for his trousers, his little waistcoat. I'm also going to paint his hair in this colour as well, because these, so far, both these colours have been Vallejo's game colour range, which you can use as a primer and a base coat simultaneously. So I haven't primed this model, and I don't have their black. So I need to paint his hair in one of the colours, and brown's close to black. It'll make it easy to just paint the black by Army Painter over the top of that for me. I'm going to use bone white. So this is for his shirt, sorry, but I'm also going to do his skin because the same problem, and I'm also going to do his sword. So I'm aiming to get his shirt this colour, but I'm also going to paint in his skin and sword for the same reasons I mentioned before. This is a game colour range. It can be used as a primer, and I don't have the colours in Vallejo's set that I want to paint the rest of the model. But this is going to be his shirt colour, so quickly fill that in. Then I'm using the Survivor skin, as I mentioned, the Army Painter one. This cannot be used as a primer, so I'm painting over the top of that bone white that I put on his skin. So that's his face, and he's got both his hands are out of his shirt, so paint both of those in. I'm now down to my detail brush. It's quite a small model, it's quite fiddly. It is for a competition, so I am taking some care, trying to be quite precise and get this model to look quite nice, because I want to win, right? I mean, I'm happy for you guys to try and beat me, but good luck. No, I'm easily beatable, and I hope you all enter, and we'll have a lot of fun entering this together. Dead black, that's the black by Army Painter, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be painting in his hair, his moustache, and his eyebrows, both his eyebrows. That's all I'm going to do in black, but I had to paint in a base colour in Vallejo's because I hadn't primed it. If you just prime it, if you just use a spray primer, you can skip out painting some of the wrong colours on various parts of this model. You'll all have to let me know in the comments below if you use the Vallejo game colours. I personally was quite sceptical at the start, but I'm loving them. I think if I wasn't painting on YouTube, I might not love them as much if I had the time to go outside and prime stuff. Like I'm sure a load of you do it in bulk. It's less hassle, but I'm painting individual models, and I just don't want to keep nipping outside for single paints. But let me know in the comments below what you think of these Vallejo game colours. So we're on to dark Fleshtone now. That's for his belt and his sheath for his sword. And I don't know how for a year I haven't noticed this. Not that it matters, but I've constantly typed it as dark Fleshtone as though it was a single word. And I just noticed today that it just was a speck of paint that I had between the two words. So, haha, I'm just getting that in because Nathan, you never noticed that. So, that's one to me, I feel like. So we're using Claymore blade by the Army Painter. So I'm painting over that bone white that I put on his blade. And I'm going to use the Claymore blade for his blade. And then I'm going to use Vallejo's silver for the delicate, intricate part that he holds. Now I've got no idea what you call that. The handle with the frills on. Now I'm using the silver here because I feel like it's more sparkly. It's almost glittery. It's got like, well, it looks like little particles of magic in it, really. So I'm just painting that, and there's a difference in the two colours. The silver's a lot lighter and a lot prettier, I think. So I'm making that delicate bit look fancier. I'm going to use Flesh Wash. That's by the Army Painter. I'm really liking Flesh Wash. I'm watering all of these washes down. So this is about 50% water, 50% Flesh Wash, and I'm just going to darken down his skin a little bit, trying to get that in the recesses. I'm going to use light tone, exactly the same. I'm going to water this down about 50-50. I might use 2 layers if it needs it. You'll have to judge for yourself on that and just build up. And I'm going to use this on the rest of the model. As I mentioned, it's for a competition. I'm not going for a sort of high contrast. I'm not going to be playing this on a game, except maybe that RPG. I know so little about RPGs. Can you use models in role-playing games? I don't know. I've never played. I've never even seen one played. It's just something that I felt like, and now I'm into this hobby, I should get involved with. But so other than that, it's for competitions. I'm just trying to just highlight and darken it very subtly and make it look as good as I can. I'm going to use Survivor Shader, which is the black wash. That's for his hair and all his metallics, so his sword, basically. Parasite Brown's now out. We're going to start highlighting. I'm going to bring back in that base colour. Not that I went far away with it from it with that light tone. Light tone anyway is quite light, and then I watered it down, so it's not super noticeable, but it's going to be a really, really subtle sort of shadows and then a subtle highlight on top. So I'm just painting on all the raised bits and all the flat surfaces, quite a lot of the base colour, just leaving the wash in the folds, underneath all the folds of his shoes, so underneath the rim of his leather boot, as well as there's some folds down the front of his shoe and under his ankle, that sort of thing. I'm just leaving the slightest amount of shade in this and just bring that highlighter out. And then I'm going to mix in some scrofulous brown. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. But about 50-50, 1-to-1 ratio, just bringing up a brighter highlight. And then I'm going to very, very carefully basically just edge highlight now. So I'm going to go around sort of his toes, the top and bottom of the folds. That's got to have a name on his boots, that fold. Just all of the edges of the folds. And then Beasty Brown, same process as I've just done with the Parasite Brown. Just going to go around all the flat surfaces, all the raised parts, and all the bits the lights would be hitting. Basically, completely painting back in the base coat, just leaving that shade in all of the recesses. So there's a big fold on his back, so make sure you leave the shade under that. I've left plenty of shade where his top meets his belt, so that's going to make that pop out and look very, very nice by the end. And then just leaving some shade sort of in his armpits, basically around his neck, various places where there's just folds and darkness, so really, really subtle again. And then I'm going to mix in some Vallejo's Leather Brown, which is just a lighter brown, with that Beasty Brown. Repeat the exact same process that I did with the boots, and now just going to go around the edges now. So the edge on his sort of kneecap, all the edges of his folds, the bottom of his waistcoat, the sides of his waistcoat as well. Extra careful that I don't get any on his shirt. And then the same on the back, just his folds and the very edge. So edge highlighting all around, guys. And then we'll go on to the shirt, and can you guess what I'm going to do there? I'm going to paint it pink. You didn't see that coming because it's not true. That's not going to happen, but I'm just going to do the... Oh, I'm not going to do the shirt. Well, that's embarrassing. Anyway, let's do the hair. I'm going to do the hair. I'm just going to get Necromancer's Cloak by the Army Painter out, and we're just going to dry brush that over. His hair's quite frilly. It's got lots of bumps and lumps and bumps, so you're going to catch that on. And then I'm going to use Filthy Soup, the lighter grey by the Army Painter. Just really, really carefully and lightly do that on the very top, the very edges of his hair. And then sort of going to do his shirt after I wasted all my hilarious jokes. Just bone white, just as the base coat again. And I'm just going to paint back in the base colour. And just the same as the trousers and boots. This is a lot of repetition. Maybe I should have some music on in my videos, because I'm just going to be telling you the same stuff. It's the same three things for all of his clothing, basically. And it's just a different colour each time. With the exception of the bone white, I guess I'm only going to use just highlight up to bone white. This, again, like every time I do the highlighting, it's really, really watered down. It's probably 50-50. It's as watered down as I can get it without this running straight off of all the places I'm trying to put it on. So it's going to be multiple layers, building it up and increasing the number of layers as you move towards the more raised bits, all those folds. So it's only one colour on this particular highlight, and this is the longest part of the model for me. It took a good sort of 5 to 15 minutes. I can't remember exactly, but it was a lot longer than the rest of the video. Dark flesh tones out. Just going to paint in the base colour of his sheath and touch up the bottom of his belt as well, just because that's the only bit the light would hit. Survivor skin then. We're going to go on to highlighting the skin. I'm just going to go around and paint all of his fingers in, leaving plenty of shade in between, all the creases of his hands and in between his fingers, and where his wrist meets the cuff of his shirt, leave that nice and dark. But the rest, paint back in the base colour. Is anybody following along with this tutorial to enter the model box competition? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know if anybody's doing that, or if you're just watching it because you love the Princess Bride. Is that another reason? Why are you watching this? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know why. There's 2 more Princess Bride models to do. Would you like to see them? I'm definitely going to do them. You can't stop me. But would you like to see them on video? Survivor skin's going to get mixed in 50-50 with bone white. This is to do the sort of very final highlighting of the skin. So this is going to be very, very watered down. I'm going to build up the layers as I do. Fingertips, chin, nose, cheekbones, the usual suspects. And then I'm going to use silver just to paint back in all the sort of the centers, the edges, the raised parts of that fancy pants fencing sword, and then Claymore blade just to paint a nice line down each side. Just, I mean, it's cylindrical. That sounds right. What do you do? How do you highlight that up? It's sort of shiny from everywhere, but underneath, I don't know. Glistening blood. We're going to add a load of blood to this model. We're not. We're going to use the glistening blood because it's a sort of gloss finish. It's quite shiny and wet looking. I'm going to be painting in some rubies. That's how the sword was in the film, if I remember correctly. The artwork I had, well, there is no artwork. I just saw some clips of the film to remind myself, but I'm pretty sure it's got some jewels on it. So I just dabbed on some circular ruby jewels every periodically, every now and again on the fancy bit. I'm going to do his eyes next. I'm going to use some white primer to get into eyeballs. And then I'm going to apply some dead black. I couldn't do this on camera. I tried it a million times. It's so difficult. I wanted to get his eyes staring straight down the sword. So hopefully you can see that. There's like the perfect angle like there. So he's a little bit boz-eyed from some angles, but that's because I wanted to look straight down the model like you would if you picked it up. And he's looking straight down his fencing sword. And I think he looks great. So this video, I skipped doing the base. I hope that's okay. I'm going to make that into a separate video rather than show you 3 times more how to make that forest base. I've changed my technique slightly, so I am going to show that in a completely separate video, and hopefully that's more applicable to all sorts of models and games. You know, anywhere you want a forest base, or well, I guess it's more like a wood base and an autumn wood base. This whole model took me 1 hour and 36 minutes. That's not a great deal of time, really. I think that's quite quick. To say I tried to do it sort of competition standard, a bit better than tabletop. I wasn't trying to do it quickly, just trying to win some paints. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check out that Kickstarter. A couple of days left. Is it worth getting? Let me know in the comments below.